The Kesavananda Bharti case is one of the most important and dramatic turning points in Indian constitutional history, like the Mahabharata of Indian legal battles. It was a clash between Parliament and the Supreme Court, between democracy and constitutional limits, and it gave birth to a powerful doctrine of the basic structure of constitution. Let's understand what the Kesavananda Bharti case was. In the early 1970s, a humble monk named Kesavananda Bharti, who was head of a mutt in Kerala, approached the Supreme Court. Why? Because the Kerala government had passed land reform laws that aimed to take over the land held by religious institutions, including his mutt. To do this, the parliament had amended the constitution using its powers under Article 368 to place these laws beyond the reach of the courts. Kesavananda Bharti filed a case not just to protect his land, but unknowingly he was about to change the course of Indian democracy forever. What was the core issue? The big question before the Supreme Court was, can the Parliament change any part of the Constitution, including the fundamental rights? Until then, the view was that yes, Parliament can change anything as long as it followed the procedure. But this was risky. What if a government with a strong majority amends the Constitution to take away democracy or fundamental rights? So the Supreme Court had to decide, does the Constitution have any parts that cannot be altered even by the Parliament? And the verdict came on 24th April 1973. The case went on for 68 days, the longest hearing in Indian judicial history, with 13 judges, which is the largest constitutional bench ever. And the verdict was extremely close. 7 judges said yes, and 6 said no. The majority said that Parliament can amend the Constitution, but it cannot alter or destroy its basic structure. This meant that some essential features of the Constitution are untouchable no matter how powerful the Parliament is. The Supreme Court did not list all the elements clearly in the judgment as to what constitutes basic structure, but over time, through many cases, the court has defined key elements of the basic structure. Some of the elements are supremacy of the Constitution, rule of law, separation of powers, judicial review, fundamental rights, democracy, secularism, and federalism. These are some elements of basic structure, and this list is not all encompassing. Any law or amendment that tries to destroy or damage these features can be declared invalid by the Supreme Court. Why is this case so important? It is important because it saved the Indian democracy during the years of authoritarianism, especially under emergency. It put limits on Parliament's power, saying that you are not above the Constitution. It gave the judiciary a guardian role to protect the soul of the Constitution. However, the irony was that Kesavananda Bharti, the monk, lost his personal case. The land reform law was upheld. But in the bigger picture, our democracy won. His name became legendary in Indian legal history as the man whose petition saved the constitution from being rewritten by brute majorities. The Kesavananda Bharti case gave birth to the basic structure doctrine, a legal firewall that protects Indian democracy, secularism, and fundamental rights from being demolished by temporary political forces. It was the Supreme Court saying to the Parliament that you may change the house, but you cannot destroy its foundation. Thank you so much for listening.